right, a very good morning to you. It's good to see you on the 16th day. We're officially past half of the month, so I hope you've made better use of the entire month. Welcome to the show. My name is Winnie Lubembe, and I'm hoping that you're looking forward to having a productive week ahead. So today on the show, we'll be talking about spina bifida, okay? And October is actually Spina Bifida Awareness Month. And this is actually a month to celebrate people who are living with spina bifida. But even as we celebrate, the biggest question is, what exactly do we know about spina bifida and how much of information is out there about the same? That is what we'll be focusing on the show today. So you want to stick around. Any question that you have, feel free to send them our way. And that is at MTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X. And tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. And of course, we'll be looking at your feedback as we continue with the conversation. So to help us this morning to understand more about spina bifida, because if you're very observant, you would see that I have a yellow ribbon, and all of us have it actually. Yes, so we'll be talking about it as we continue with the conversation. Why exactly the color yellow? But I'm going to start with my immediate left. We have Lois Waringa-Kinyua, again, who's here to share her experience and her journey as far as spina bifida is concerned. So good to have you this morning. Thank you so much for making the time and agreeing to speak with us. And then next to her, we have Dr. Michael Magoha, who is a consultant neurosurgeon and lecturer at the University of Nairobi. Good to have you this morning.
Morning.
Thank you so much for making the time. And last but not least, we have Juliana Auma, who is a founder of SHAC, okay? And SHAC stands for Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Association of Kenya, right?
Yes.
Good to have you. Thank you so much for making the time this morning. And Dr., let's just begin with you. Basics, right? Spina bifida. What exactly is that?
Okay, I'll try and make it as simple as possible.
Yes.
So it's a congenital malformation, meaning it's something that you're born with.
All right.
It's not just one singular disease. I want people to at least understand that. It's a spectrum of illnesses. And to put it simply, during development of the nervous system, as different structures are closing, you can get failure of closure or partial closure, which results in a range of abnormalities.
Okay. All right. And you know, I was doing my reading, right? And before I tell you what I found from my reading, the yellow ribbon, I almost forgot about it. Is there a specific reason as to why the color yellow? Because we've had a conversation about hydrocephalus, and the color was purple, if I'm not wrong. Yes, so yellow, what is it all about?
Yeah, thank you, Winnie, for having us. And for hydrocephalus, I believe the color is blue.
It's blue.
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, we had some.
Yes, because hydro means water and cephalus is brain.
Yeah.
So excess water in the brain. But yellow for spina bifida means prevention, which is more on folic acid. And we know it is the yellow pill.
Okay.
So when we wear yellow, it represents the prevention.
Okay.
So there's an aspect of prevention with spina bifida.
Okay.
That is not really out there yet. It is out there, but it is not, our usual everyday conversation.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah.
So we thought we wear yellow
Okay.
as we celebrate our children and the wonderful people behind them, the parents, the service providers.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a whole team
Yes.
to help with the same. All right. Lois, very quickly, again, as far as spina bifida is concerned, I want to go back to childhood, right? What was that like? Tell us a little bit about, you know, yourself and what childhood was like for you.
Okay, I was born with spina bifida.
Yeah.
Luckily, the hospital that I was born, they were able to identify early.
Okay.
So they referred me to a hospital where I was done my first intervention surgery to closure. But now the issue is there was no follow-up. So my parents didn't understand what to do next. They just thought I have like just the other disability. So I was there. When I was young, I realized I can't control my urine. I can feel, but I can't hold. But I couldn't understand what is going on. My school life in public school was a bit ish because I can't get out of class and take myself to the washroom on the time. So I decided not to take water, not to take any fluid. I would pour tea if I was given to hide so that I can be able to have at least a better life. But later on, I got a precious soul because I also have issues with sensation. So it couldn't heal for many years. it would produce a very bad smell. So it was very difficult for me. By then I started having issues with schools. It like I dropped out of school for some time. But later on I joined a school in Joytown. There is when I was able to understand that I have spina bifida. I was able now to do CIC.
Okay.
We call it CIC.
We have a doctor here. He will tell us all those heavy terms. But
By then now I was able to have a better life.
Okay.
I was able to understand who I am.
All right.
I was able to meet other people with spina bifida. We also now, when we joined, we started support group.
Yeah.
That when I gained my confidence.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, and you're here today to share your story with the
Yes.
world, which is
Yes.
something that is very commendable, and we celebrate you as well this morning, together with so many, other people with spina bifida. All right. And Dr. again, like I said, when I was doing my reading, and they're saying spina bifida is the snowflake of what is it? Neurotube defects or
Neurotube defects.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what exactly does that mean?
Okay, it means it's the most popular one.
Okay.
It's the one that everybody seems to know.
Yeah.
So you said neural tube defects. As you're developing as a small child, as a baby, at about 16 weeks of pregnancy, so even the mother won't know what is happening. At that point, the baby's learning to communicate with the outside via a process called neurulation.
All right.
So this means just forming the nerves in the spinal cord and the skin and other elements. But the reason I say this is, as it fails to close in different places, then you get different diseases.
Okay.
All the way from the head, we might have malformation of the brain itself or no brain, all the way to spina bifida, which is all along the spine, and that we have different grades.
All right.
The important thing to state, which some people might not be understanding, people know the mass at the back. What is happening, simply put, is instead of the nerves going to where they're supposed to be, they could be ending up in a place in the back. It's something we call a placode. Now, it's also important to note for everybody it's different. It might not be uniform. It might be everything below the knee on one side. It might be the entire leg on one side. It might be both legs on one side. So everybody's differently abled.
All right.
But it doesn't have a bearing on their cognition, how they think, how functional they can be, what they can be in life. But people might not understand that because it looks scary in the beginning.
Yeah. All right. And again, like you said, so it might develop before even a mother knows that they're pregnant, right? And chances of picking it early, that's neither here nor there, right? It's a bit 50-50. For some people, they're able to catch it early, but others, again, might not be able to catch it early.
I think this is one of those strange diseases. It's not just about catching it early because there's so many variations on it. Okay. What's more important is prevention. Okay. And that goes hand in hand with this. I think I'll let her talk regarding that. But the short answer to your question is yes, if you're high risk of developing spina bifida, you can catch it early. Yeah. Early is in two ways. You can there's a test called alpha fetoprotein. When parts of your body haven't closed, that will be released more in your amniotic fluid. The other thing is at about 13 to 15 weeks, if you're going for a regular checkup, by then you should be able to pick it up with ultrasound. But by then, most people are even hiding that they're pregnant.
That's true. Or don't even know.
They don't even know.
That they're pregnant. Okay, we'll come back and highlight the symptoms, the risk factors, and all those things, and then we'll focus more on the prevention aspect, which is why we have the yellow ribbons. But Juliana, you're also a caregiver, not only a founder, for Shark, but you're also a caregiver to your baby. And we were discussing about this earlier, and you said, my story is too long. We would need a whole day to talk about it. But do you want to just tell us a little bit about your pregnancy journey? First of all, when was it discovered that your baby has spina bifida?
Yeah, thank you so much, Winnie. I wear many hats. Okay. One of them is being the founder of Shark. Yeah. And I'm also here to represent Child Ape International, an organization that I represent as their country rep in Kenya. Right. An organization which supports partners who work for our children in Kenya, and we support Bethany Kids, Tenwek Hospital, and Houses of Hope. I'll talk more about Houses of Hope when now we enter into care. Okay. But there's a hat I wear so proudly, and that is the hat of being a mom. Yeah. I wear it proudly and passionately. Okay. I got my daughter when I was 18. I was in high school, so I replaced my high school skirt with a maternity dress. Okay. And when I gave birth to her, that is when I learned my daughter is different. And sadly, when I was giving birth in '94, there was no information out there at all. So I had just given birth and I'm told, your child has something on the back. I think it is called spina bifida. And I don't think she has a brain. Her head is full of water. And most probably she's going to die.
Oh, wow.
And so I was kept at Pumwani for a whole 1 month. And so I think they were waiting for my Phoebe to die. And Phoebe didn't die. And so after the 1 month, I was told, you go home, take care of her, and when it is time, she will rest. Such children don't live.
Okay.
It was cruel.
Yeah.
You know, you are nursing, you are the pain that you've experienced as a mom. You are a first-time mom. And sadly, again, my mom had already passed on. So it was even much more harder for me. But when I went back home, I had a neighbor who was a medical student at University of Nairobi, Dr. Kamau. And Dr. Kamau is the one who came, and I saw him washing his hands, and he would do this on Phoebe's foot.
Okay.
And when Phoebe's toes moved, he told me, your child is okay. So that is the small hope that I had to fight for my daughter.
Yeah.
And so the fight began. This war of making sure my child lives began. So I began going to Kenyatta Hospital, and I was told that children who are under 5 can be treated free of charge.
Right.
And we all understand the state of our public health care system. So I went to Kenyatta for close to 3 months. That is when I met Dr. Kureshi. And Dr. Kureshi told me, your daughter is very strong, well breastfed, healthy, and fit for surgery.
Okay.
But for me to get to her, you will have to wait for 2 years because of the schedule.
Oh, wow.
You know, with government institutions, they do scheduling.
That's true, yeah.
So I wondered, is this the death sentence that my daughter was really preparing for? So I gave up. I lost all hope completely.
Yeah.
But a good neighbor of mine told me, Juliana, no, this life is very special. There's a purpose in this child. Take good care of her.
Yeah.
She will take you places. And I'm here because of Phoebe.
I see that. I see that.
So I was on the
yeah.
newspapers.
Okay.
I was on Standard looking for help.
Yeah.
And that is how we went to Gertrude's.
Okay.
And
All right.
the surgery was done.
I see that. And we'll come back to the surgery part. But again, so after the delivery, right, you are given your baby. You hold your baby for the very first time. What is the first thing that comes to mind? Because at that time, again, like you said, the things that were said were not, they're cruel, right? So what goes through your mind the first time you hold your baby?
Actually, I was not given my baby. She was taken to the newborn unit.
Okay.
So I would go breastfeed her after every 3 hours. So whenever I would go breastfeed her, I would really wonder, in my small understanding of biology, not even science, medical science, but biology, how comes she's eating and she doesn't have a brain? How come she's even emptying her bowel? You know, she's peeing, she's pooping, she's crying, yet she doesn't have a brain. But I was given my daughter after some 3 weeks when she was now brought out from the newborn unit. And for me, she was so beautiful.
Yeah.
I saw the other bit, yes, it was a problem, but I saw a beautiful child at the end of the day. Yeah.
I really like that. I really, really like that. Because for so many parents, again, you see, it's confusion because then you don't know what exactly is happening given what the doctors are telling you. You know, your child will not survive. This is not normal. This, all those things, you know. Again, it might stress you as a person because now you're thinking, so how then do I take care of my child and all those things? But I like the fact that you're very optimistic and say, listen, my baby is beautiful. It doesn't matter. So I really, really like that. Dr. Do you want to pick up on what she said? First of all, the link between spina bifida and hydrocephalus, and the fact that, you know, the medics at that time, because again, like you said, there was less information, you know, the whole concept about, oh, they will not survive, you know, we just sit here and wait for the baby to die and all those things. A lot of misconceptions surrounding the scene.
Okay. First, I empathize that with the situation. It cannot be easy to go through that. Now, there are multiple things that she spoke about. First, as I said, it's a congenital malformation, meaning, to put it simply, when the person is developing, you can just get a slightly wrong turn. Okay. And of course, with that, you have known associations. So there are many different known associations. For example, regarding spina bifida, depending on the location, you have other associations. Like the lower it goes, the higher the association with something called a Chiari malformation and development of hydrocephalus. Right. So if you have those two, you're classified as a different illness. To put it simply, we don't know why it happens, but the overall scientific community thinks that the placode tends to tether and pull everything down. Right. So as it does, you have less space at the base of the brain, and that way the flow of, we call it hydrodynamics, are completely changed. So instead of water flowing down, you get small eddy currents or whirls, which causes the head to grow. Okay. So it's a known association. There are others, for example, issues with the kidneys. They might have 1 or 2 heart defects. We call them midline lesions. All right. So it's also important, if you have a child with any congenital malformation, they should go through a lot of screening. And I think it's paramount that they should know, you should not see one specialist. There is not one person who is the boss of everyone, not even the pediatrician. So once you get a name, you should go through different services, and you should be navigated through different services. I think that's important. Before, we didn't have a healthcare workforce, so that tends to be the issue. There is no overwhelming font of knowledge. Everybody will stop at one point. Yeah. Right.
Okay, I see that. And I'll come back to you then to understand, because like you said, so we might not necessarily know what causes it, but again, during my reading, they'll say there could be genetic aspects to the same and also environmental factors. So do you want to just maybe point out a few, especially on the environmental factors, and then I'll speak to...
Okay, that's good. So as I'll speak as a scientist, a surgeon scientist. So first thing to understand is we're not speaking about a solitary illness. We're speaking about a spectrum of diseases. So next, with classification, it's going to be difficult to put everything together. So if there's an issue, there are associations, genetic associations. For example, if you have one child with spina bifida, the risk is slightly increased. However, that risk is significantly mitigated by environmental factors. The environmental factors include things like ionizing radiation, but what chief which has shown benefit is IFAS, iron and folic acid supplementation. So mothers who tend to be low with folic acid at time of conception tend to have a significantly higher rate of development of neural tube defects, to the point that supplementation of folic acid is law in multiple countries, including ours as well. The only issue is the levels to which it is subsidized, and it's not general knowledge to the general population. The reason I say this is, the reason it tends to be rarer in the West is because everything is fortified with folic acid. I think that's something we need to push. It should not be on top of the mothers to look for. You want to get a child, you start popping pills. It shouldn't be that hard for everyone. Right.
Okay, all right. And very quickly, Luz, because we have a few minutes before we go on a break, like 2 minutes before we go on a break. So you said your diagnosis, it was done a bit earlier, right? How earlier was earlier? For you, would you remember?
I think I was just 1 day old.
Okay.
My first surgery was done when I was 7.
Okay.
7 days.
7 days, okay.
Yes. But now the problem is there was no follow-up or intervention. They were not advised on anything. They were told probably your child will never walk. That's what they were told. Okay. So now from there, it was about now disability and myself. There was no more other communication or any follow-up. So I was trying to understand myself. What is happening? Why can't I control my urine? And also you start fearing changing routine. You don't want to go anywhere else. You don't want to have many friends because
the stigma,
of stigma. And also, not even at that stage, you are not understanding what is happening because you can see the other children are okay. Later on, you start even realizing even your body shape, your walking style is not the same like the other. At times, there is also self-stigma. You're also starting like you don't want to associate with other people.
That's true.
But like now, that's why I'm very supportive to do advocacy, so that other children or parents may understand these things earlier, so that they can be able to do early intervention. Because even I think my back, I have it kind of scoliosis, which was not managed in early stage. I think if my parent understand or they had that therapy, probably I stood and walked at 8 years. So if there was rehabilitation, I think it would be much better. Yeah,
I see that, and I think that is why we're here today as well. In as much as we're celebrating, you know, people, but we'll also try as much as possible and pass awareness as far as spina bifida is concerned, and other neural tube defects as well. But for now, let's take a break. When we come back, Dr. if it's possible to look at the symptoms, because again, people might not know this until the baby is born, and that is looking at the face, you know, from face value. But there's so much that can be picked during pregnancy, and the fact that we're really emphasizing on prevention. So what is it that we can do to prevent? What exactly does prevention look like? And when does that begin? Okay, so all that is coming up after the break. If you have any questions as far as spina bifida is concerned, please send them our way at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, or better yet, give us a call. Our lines are officially open, but we'll see you on the other side of the break. Stay with us. The show is your world.
There's a lot going on at the moment in this house.
Their true identity is uncovered in the brand new unmissable Zari. Starts 23 October, only on Maisha Magic Plus, channel 163 on DSTV Access, GoTV Plus, channel 3.
Show off your best skin with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa Body Lotion. Now with 5-in-1 Complete Care. The deeply nourishing formula prevents your skin from drying with precious cocoa butter and deep moisture for smooth and healthy looking skin. Step out in confidence with our most complete care from the world's #1 skincare brand.
Candace, what's that?
I brought you a small bonus.
Bonus for what?
You got us 299 family dinners, 64 kisses on the cheek, 12 road trips to see grandma, 42 jokes from daddy, 49 laughs from mommy.
In over 60 years of dealing with numbers, we've learned that the numbers that matter the most to you are the ones that matter the most to us. NCBA Bank. Go for it.
For all your sporty news updates,
This is the first time I'm actually holding a sword.
it's fun conversations,
Tell me something, why jersey 14?
There was Thierry Henry, you know, this jersey 14 where my mom bought me his jersey.
great entertainment, rib-cracking laughter,
Yeah, that's our director.
and insightful banter.
Tell us about that rivalry with the Kani Simbine.
When you get to track, there's no friendship.
Eliud, what's your favorite food?
Favorite food is
Yes.
ugali.
Join us every Monday at 10 p.m. with NTV Sports gurus Bernard Ndong and James Wakabi. Sport on NTV, your home of sports.
Get Moyo Wangu by Guardian Angel. Dial star 812 star 799 hash.
Skiza, Nan Nation.
All holders are notified to report and surrender unclaimed financial assets to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFAA, on or before November 1st, 2023. Visit www.ufaa.go.ke and get started.
All right, welcome back. 36 minutes past the hour, and today on the show we're focusing on spina bifida or spina bifida, as the Dr. is referring to each other the same. Okay, but focus is the fact that we need to really understand, first of all, what the condition is all about and what is it that we can do to prevent the same. So to help us with the conversation this morning, we have Dr. Michael Magoha, who's a consultant neurosurgeon as well as a lecturer at the University of Nairobi. We have Lois Waringa-Kinywa, who's here to share her journey and her experiences as far as spina bifida is concerned. And we also have Juliana Auma, who's a founder of SHAK, and that is Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Association of Kenya, but also a mom to, like you said, a beautiful girl, right? So good to have you as well, who has spina bifida. Again, to just share your journey and your experience as well, as far as caring for a child, spina bifida is concerned. So I'm just going to begin with you. So, Juliana, that is. So there was a lot that you mentioned during the first part of the show. So you went to the hospital. The first surgery was done. You said after how long?
Actually, Phoebe's surgery was done when she was almost 4 months.
4 months.
After the appeal that we made on standard newspapers. And I'm indebted to one doctor, Dr. Mbuthia.
All right.
He's a pediatrician, and he's the one who linked us with Gertrude's Children's Hospital. And the surgery was done as a charity case.
Okay.
And so Phoebe got the first gift of life surgery for our children with spina bifida and hydrocephalus. Yeah.
Okay. So what was that like? Like, when you say surgery, what exactly was done to help her? Because like you said, first gift of life.
Yeah, so when the surgery was done and Phoebe was brought back, her head, no, Phoebe had both spina bifida and hydrocephalus at birth.
Okay.
So her head had this curvature because the fluid was now draining on the shunt that is usually placed for hydrocephalus intervention. So her head was looking very different. And then, of course, the sac on the back was not there. And there was another bandage on her stomach.
Okay.
So when I asked, I was told they have put a pipe. They could call it a pipe. Now I know it is a VP shunt. So they put a pipe that goes to her brain, the ventricular system, and they pull the skin, it is put under the skin, behind the ear, goes under her breast, and into her stomach. So when the water is drained from her brain, it goes into her stomach, and I know it is not bad water, it is healthy water, which is reabsorbed in the body, and some she excretes.
All right.
But what I wasn't prepared for then is what I know now.
All right.
That the surgery opened a door to this house that has these different rooms that nobody told me about.
Okay.
One room was that my daughter was not going to walk normally like other people.
All right.
My daughter was going to have problems with her skin, problem with her spine, have more surgical procedures, and also be unable to control her bowel and bladder function.
All right.
So all those, for me, my 2 cents of understanding is after the sac is closed, all is done. She, after 1 year, 2 years, we are walking.
And everything.
And so life goes on until I began to understand spina bifida. And it was like entering this car. I've not gone to driving school, and I'm told you drive that car.
Okay.
I don't know what to do with
don't
it.
know what to do. Yeah.
So that is what most mothers go through, especially first-time mothers who have children with spina bifida, or maybe just any special congenital condition. Yes.
I see that. And Dr. do you see, again, is this one of commonest things that you see? And I'm asking that so that we can look at some of the symptoms. What is it the parents can look out for, and also just know about spina bifida? Because like Juliana said, she knew after the surgery everything is okay, my baby's gonna be okay. I mean, she's okay, but you know, develop like any other child would, and then that is not the case, and that must take a toll on a person, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's a good question. I'll give you a short, easy answer to it. Like I said, the nerves don't go where they're supposed to. They end up in the placode. That's different for everybody else. The thing that parents should all be warned about and should watch out for is the #1 leading cause of death in patients with spina bifida. At about 75% of long-term survivors is kidney failure. What does that mean? It means just the act of going to the bathroom for a short call. You're unable to do that, and you get backflow and backlog over a long period of time. And this is not something that is loud, and it's not something that these patients tend to complain about or feel. That might sound horrible, but on the other side, it's something you can clearly target. So if you teach them, as she said nicely, clean intermittent catheterization, you've removed 75% of the causes of death. So everybody's going to be okay. They'll just have to do something slightly different from the rest of us. That's something parents should watch for and about. The other thing that I should advocate for, if you're a parent who has a child with spina bifida, you must have a one-on-one discussion with your primary neurosurgeon. They must tell you. We have scoring systems, they have this. They will tell you very bluntly, very plainly, your child can, we have technical terms, adapt the leg, move it to the right, move it to the left. With this, they should be able to walk. With this, they should be on a walking stick. With this, they should be on a wheelchair. If they continue to move like this, their spine will shape differently. Every neurosurgeon is able to do that. So that's something that if you already have, that we can help you.
Yeah, okay. But before that, what is it that be on the lookout for, like you said? So
the symptoms?
Yes.
Okay. That's one which I'm going to try and summarize. I feel like it's an exam.
Yeah.
So if I make it very simple, the first thing people notice, there are 3 things you'll notice from spina bifida. So if I take you back, I said at about 3 weeks of gestation, when you're pregnant, you're forming the neural tube. So it's a tube that's closing. So the tube might fail to close completely. So you might have an open back. That will be noticed on an ultrasound. That will be a completely different discussion with your primary physician. Next, it could have closed, but it's closed and it's strange. There are things which are supposed to be in between which might not be there. So you'll have a sac at the back. So that's the first most common one. So with that sac, we call it a seal. It can have meninges, which is the covering of the brain. It can have myelomeninge, which means it's the spinal cord and nervous elements. Sometimes it can just be fluid and there's nothing at all. So the surgeon looks like a hero. You think he put the nerves back, but truly it wasn't that bad. So that's one that's obvious, spina bifida. The other one is when it's with occult. You can't see it, so it's called spina bifida occulta. So these ones, they could have already closed. It looks like the back is formed, but if you examine the back, you'll see small little elements. Like you might feel like the bones haven't joined, or the most pathognomonic, if that's a word we use for saying if you see this, it means this is there. They could have a tuft of hair at the back. So if you have a child who has a strange tuft of hair just at the back, and it looks like their head is growing a little bit bigger, they need to be seen by one of us. They could have spina bifida. That would present later on in life. So that's why I keep saying it's a spectrum. So those are simple ones, I think. That's a simple answer.
No, I totally hear that. And I think the biggest question for so many people is that, can it be treated? Because again, like Juliana said, she thought after surgery, everything is going to go back to normal, quote unquote, because again, normal is relative. But then that does not happen. So the big question is then, what do you do next? So we'll come back to you for that. But Lois, so first surgery was done after 7 days, which was a good thing, like you said. But then again, the biggest challenge was on follow-up. And we talked about growing up as well. So then at what point do you really understand spina bifida and the things that maybe should have been done and they're not done? And then let's speak about the impact of the scene.
By then, I was in class 4.
Okay.
That when I came to understand what is spina bifida,
okay,
what is happening to me.
All right.
Because personally, on my right side, I don't have sensation from
right
the
side.
waist.
Okay. Oh, from the waist.
Yeah.
Down. Okay.
I can't feel. There are some parts that I can feel. I came to understand that I cannot hold urine for long.
Okay.
So I came to understand I have frequent urination. So I came to understand now what I should do.
Okay.
I came to understand if I fail to take water, I'm going to ruin my kidney and probably I'll end up having other complications.
Okay.
So I was able now to, through Bethany Kids in Kijabe Hospital, we were able to train.
Okay.
I was trained how to do CIC. I was trained how to do bowel washout. Personally, I can be able to manage my bowel, but at some point, I'm not able to push really well.
Okay.
So I also need to do some intervention to my bowel, because if I don't, it will also affect my bladder because of that slowly accumulation. So I'm able to do bowel washout. I think Dr. will explain that.
Yeah. Okay.
Although by then we were not doing washout, we were doing stimulation.
Okay.
Then from there, I was also able to understand how to prevent or care for my skin, because I should not sit for a hard, now a stool. Let me use example of a stool for a long. I should not stay in sun for long. I cannot go to those campfires because of my leg. You see, you are able to learn slowly by slowly how to. And also I was able, through the support group now, SHAC, when we are together as young teens, youth, we are able to cope and also help each other, support each other. What do you do? Now, if an accident happens, I'm in a matatu or I'm in a church, by then I used to be ashamed. Currently, I can't, because this is me. There is nothing wrong of being different. It's only that society should accommodate me, understand this is life, I have 1, 2, 3, and there is nothing wrong with that. So that we can be able to have a better life. Now we can smile, we can go out. By then we were just those children with funny names that I won't mention here, because we can't go to school trip, because you see, you can't do this, you can't visit, but currently we are good, we are happy, we can enjoy life. And we know accident, we cannot avoid them from happening.
I mean, that's true. That's true. Yeah. And I'm really happy. That's very powerful what you're saying. That listen, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with me.
Yes.
Okay, I am okay, just like any other person. What we need to do, and that's, I mean, really in general society, we need to all learn to accommodate each other and make each other's comfortable as possible. So that's really, really powerful to hear. And Dr. So she said, what is the Dr. was supposed to take us through? Because now I've forgotten. Yes, the bowel washout and all those things.
Prevention.
Yes.
Secondary prevention.
Yes, but can we talk about treatment?
Treatment, okay.
Yeah,
It's
because
the same thing.
again, yes, Juliana mentioned more on the surgeries and whatnot.
Okay, so first I need to be clear. Normally when we say treatment, everybody thinks it means we're returning to normal.
Yeah.
You need to understand that the patient has already come at different from normal.
Yeah.
Now, what we do with somebody who is different from normal, we try to get them as near to normal physiology as possible.
Yes.
We cannot create something which has not been there. So that's why even the surgery doesn't seem to have a fancy name like others. We just call it myelomeningocele repair, which means we go and we try and put the layers together. That needs to be clear, because we don't tend to reverse anything. We prevent things from getting worse. And I'm about to say two things which might sound a bit shocking. From both the stories that I've heard, everything is late. According to me, if I was to mark an exam or anything, everything is late. Number one, she should have been identified when she was still in the mother's womb. Surgery should have been done within 24 hours of presenting. Those are all small little things that tend to, we call it decreased morbidity with the patients. So that's what you do, surgery, timely surgery. Second, from that, follow-up is more important. All we do is repair and close the back. Follow-up is more important. If nerves aren't going to your legs, as she said very aptly, there are things you might not have, like feelings, etc. But nerves are not just motor and sensory. We have something called autonomic, which does things like, you know, when your leg is moist or when it's dry or when you start to sweat, she won't have that. So what does that happen? What does that mean? Small things like small nicks, small bruises could become slightly worse. No, sorry, not worse, can be significantly worse.
Okay.
So those are the things that we can do with secondary prevention. So you teach the patients, you tell the family. It sounds, it sounds like extra work, but the way I've been told by some of my patients, it's as simple as this. It's not extra work. When they had their first child, they had no idea what they were doing when they got a baby. There's nothing fun about changing a diaper.
Lifting is none of the job, yes.
Exactly, and at some point, they transition and they take care of themselves. The next thing I want to put, and I think it's already shown with her, culturally, it seems like it's hard. You think that they might not have a normal life, etc. But I want you to know there are very many people who have done tremendous good, very many popular people like Frida Kahlo, who had spina bifida. It's widespread in the population, you just might not know. As you said, there are people who you call with other names. You might have seen people walking with a walking stick, you just don't know they had spina bifida.
That's true.
It's literally that simple. So you shouldn't, don't always think it's going to be a difficult journey. It will be different from other people's journey. With people like her and the organizations, I think they're invaluable because that completely changes the landscape. As we grow as a country, it makes things easier. Things will be more available. I will not lie, there will be problems, and your problems might be specific. But I like to say, you can't boil the ocean. Regardless of how much energy you use, you can never boil the ocean. But you can get a team together, and it can be smooth sailing.
Okay, I see that. All right. So, Julian, I can see your time is far much, but there's so much still to cover as far as Phoebe is concerned. But again, like you said, so you thought with surgery everything is going to be okay, but you know that was not the case. So, what is it that you had to sort of like do or adapt or maybe do different just to make sure that Phoebe is as comfortable as possible and grows up just like any other child?
I'll take you back to the car, the car thing.
All right.
So I'm in this car and I don't understand what to do with it. So that is the life I was when taking care of Phoebe. I had a child who is beautiful, but has a problem I don't understand.
Okay.
And for that reason, I was in denial. So I'll just do what mothers do, take her to the hospital, clean the baby, breastfeed, but deep down, she's not the kind of child I was hoping for, you know, as a first-time mom. And I really wanted to go back to school, which happened much years later, and I thank God for that.
Which is a good thing,
And so what I decided to do when Phoebe turned 3 is just to accept that I can't really change anything by living in denial. And you know, when I got Phoebe, I used to fellowship at Shaurimo Baptist Church, and our pastor would come and tell me, God loves you. I never saw that love.
I did not,
I never understood what kind of love is this. And this goes to so many parents. And so for me, my turnaround came when I realized that it was not my fault. That is when my turnaround came, when I met Dr. Bransford the late, and he sat me down and told me about spina bifida, and I had a small book that I was writing, what is spina bifida? I cannot get an answer. What is hydrocephalus? Why is she not walking? I cannot get an answer. So when I got all these answers, and I realized that it is not my fault, and then I went to Kijabe and I met an adult, Francisca, who has spina bifida. That gave me a lot of hope and courage. So, and I think that is why Shark plays a key role, because for me, what inspired me to start Shark were 2 things. One, I was looking for a woman who is married and is having babies in the right context. Not like
according
me.
to the society where this is what should happen. Go to school, get a job, get married, get babies. That's it.
Mine was opposite. Go to school, get a baby. Get married later. Go back to school. So I wanted to find a woman who is married and is having a child with spina bifida in the context of marriage, because I thought it was a young girl's problem because of our very poor eating habits.
Okay, I see that. Okay.
Yeah, the other thing was for me to understand, what are these two giant words? What is hydrocephalus really? What is spina bifida? And also, why me? But nowadays I say, why not
why
me?
Not me?
Yeah.
If
not me, then who else?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I see that. And I'll come back to you to understand. So, what is it that people are saying? What sort of advocacy, what is missing, you know, as far as information on spina bifida? Is it that people don't really understand? Is it that the message that is there is like we do not speak to people's language? What is, you know, like the biggest hurdle as far as, you know, passing as much awareness as you want to take that, Dr. Ari, and then I'll speak to Lois.
There's one thing as a medical professional I can't sit here and not say it.
Yeah.
The most important thing to know about spina bifida is it's preventable.
Okay.
That's the first thing I want to just say. And then I'll speak like a medical professional. I won't act like things aren't happening.
Yeah.
If you're having sexual intercourse unprotected and you're at risk of getting pregnant, either go see an obstetrician or start supplementing. It's literally that simple. It's not to blame anyone. The levels are different, but it's something that can be prevented and, if possible, eradicated based on the knowledge that we know at present. So that's one thing I think is missing.
Yeah.
Supplement folic acid. Now.
Okay. You know, I mean, like you said, sometimes people don't know they're pregnant until like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, you know, and sometimes feel it's too late to start care.
Exactly.
But as soon as possible. It's advice that if you're planning to have a child, then that is where to begin with supplements and folic acid and whatnot, to sort of like prepare for the same. But if that has not happened and you're pregnant, you can still, you know, go ahead and make sure that, okay, fine. We'll come back to understand then what other things that we can do, because like we said, there's the genetic aspect, you know, of the same, and also environmental factors. But Lois, what is it that is missing? Knowing what you know now, and like you said, you're very confident now to speak about spina bifida. You're here today, again, to share your story with a lot of people out there to really know that, listen, it's possible. It's possible to raise a child, but spina bifida, it's, as an individual as well, it's possible to achieve your dreams, you know? Doesn't matter whether you have spina bifida or not. But what is it that is missing?
I'll say from hospital, most of our nurses, our doctors don't understand what is spina bifida. So at that point, the first intervention is lost. Also, when we come to our homes, also community don't understand. So there is stigma, there is discrimination. Also, when we come to health, you see, like now I said we do catheterization. We don't have catheters locally. So we depend on donors. You are given like one catheter to use for 3 months because that's what donor can be able to do. If they are there locally, it will be easier. Also, most of our parents lack support. You see, as a caregiver, if you don't have support, as you said, they will hide that child, not because they don't love that child, but simply because he or she wants to protect the child. Also, but now it's better. We are advocating for fortification. At least now most of our flowers in the market, they are fortified. Also, maybe we can still advocate for parents to ensure we cook our vegetables the way they are supposed to be done.
Okay. What is it that we're doing wrong, in your opinion? What aren't we doing right?
Most of the time, we overcook them.
Okay.
Boiling to death.
Yes.
And we add milk.
And we kill all the nutrients and whatnot.
Yes.
Okay, I see that. I see that. Okay.
We lose the folic acid.
All right.
So that we can be able to prevent.
Okay.
And also, like for us, we ensure mothers, persons with spina bifida, we ensure we take folic acid before, as Dr.
has said. Yes. Okay, Juliana, I'm going to give you like 45 seconds, if that's possible, to talk about what is it. Because again, like we said, you run a support group, and I'm pretty sure there's so many parents who come to you with, you know, different concerns here and there. But what is the one that strikes you the most that needs to be prioritized as soon as now? Very quickly, like 45 seconds.
Yeah, thanks, Winnie. The one that strikes me the most is that the struggles that families go through to access medical care.
Okay.
And most of our families come from very poor background. And I think there's a marriage that happened somewhere between poverty and disability. I don't know who officiated this marriage and this wedding, because you find almost 70% of our families come from very humble backgrounds. So people who are not even able to afford NHIF to pay 500 shillings per month for this national insurance cover for them and their children. Yet their children undergo not less than 3 daktari. 3 surgeries, major surgeries in their lifetime. So my daughter is now turning 29 November 1st. And and she has underwent 9 major surgical interventions, and they still have to go for this annual ultrasound for their kidneys and all these reviews, and the children are growing. We cannot afford to pay for our transport. So if at all we get a platform to advocate to the right policy the policymakers, the right line ministries to listen to us. We are not 20 million. We are a percentage that makes this population thrive. So if they are listening, they need to come to SHAC and we have a conversation.
Okay, I see that. Thank you very much, Juliana. Daktari, I'm told 30 seconds for you to cough this up. Yes, as far as awareness and understanding and even access to care, like Juliana said.
Okay, first I'll say, I'm happy the situation is not as bleak as it was before during their time, so that's one positive thing. We are training, there are people who are available. If you have any questions, just come to the hospital. There's a national hospital, Kenyatta National Hospital. Like I said, do not suffer alone, do not be scared, and you don't know what will happen to that child in front of you. They are immensely capable, so do not give up. And the best thing is, there are very good locally trained medical professionals of all cadres will work with you together. And as you've seen, we're looking for solutions to make things easily and affordable to everybody.
To everyone, yes, I like that. And the fact that you emphasize it is preventable. So let's focus more on the prevention aspect of the same. All right, Dr. Michael Magoha, consultant neurosurgeon and a lecturer from the University of Nairobi. Good to have you this morning. Thank you so much. Time is really not on our side, but thank you for sparing time. Lois Waringa Kinyo here again to share your journey and your experience. Thank you so much. And Juliana Ouma, founder of SHAC, and that is Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Association of Kenya. Thank you so much. There's so much that we can talk about, so much that we can learn, but the conversation continues online, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X as well. But for now, allow us to say goodbye. My name is Winnie Lubembe. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place, right here on Your World. Stay safe. Goodbye.